Well, let's take a closer look at how the overall tourism industry is doing with Mark Ellwood, joining me now via Skype. Mark is a travel writer. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Rachelle, how are you?
Good, thank you. So start off by talking about the guidance and the warnings from the CDC regarding Thanksgiving travel.
I mean, it's really simple. The CDC said do not travel. And as your reports show, people aren't listening. I think it's very understandable people aren't listening. But if you look at the data, it's really quite sobering. The weekend, we had about just over 2 million people processed by the TSA, which is one of the highest numbers since the pandemic hit. It's lower than half what it was last year, but that's an enormous number in the current climate. And it's quite sobering because after every holiday we've had in the US, after July 4th, after Memorial Day, there has been a spike in COVID cases. Canadian Thanksgiving gave us a spike in cases. So we should try to listen to the CDC. I understand why people don't want to, though.
And obviously, people are fed up, and they do want that sort of family and friend connection. But, you know, people are also still trying to be safe. But given the crowds that we saw at some airports and the road traffic, people clearly not really listening. They are willing to take that risk. Are some of these resources available, though, at airports and other places to really receive all this travel?
I mean, I think the airports are doing a brilliant job. I mean, hats off to them. They're doing a very good job in a very difficult situation. I think things will change a lot if we could get COVID testing integrated into airports. I think that would streamline things. Express Spa, you'll have had your nails done at airports at the last minute. It's now operating express COVID checks. And some airlines have brought in coordinated COVID checks at airports. I think things like that, once that becomes a little bit easier to do, the whole process of traveling will be both more reassuring and more responsible. And I think we've all got to take a little bit of responsibility. I've been traveling, but I've been following the rules.
So let's dig deeper into some of these testing options, because for some airlines, it's about having a negative test a few days before you travel. Others, it's on site the day of departure or at the arrival destination. Are we starting to get a sense of any sort of new normal developing?
Oh, I wish. I wish. I always liken this challenge to, you're not just looking at the airlines. When you're looking at international operations, I think the transatlantic corridor between New York and London is a huge focus. You're really you're getting two governments to coordinate, and that's like getting a referee for a rugby match and a referee for an American football game to play on the same pitch. They just don't know how to coordinate. So something like the Common Pass app, which airlines have trialed, United trialed that from a New York to London route, which standardizes testing, you've got to get the government to agree. I will say it's interesting in America, the long-haul domestic is from the West Coast to Hawaii, very lucrative route for airlines, very important. And they're all focused on getting testing really easy there. United has an on-site testing facility at SFO to make sure that its passengers don't get held to the very stringent quarantine Hawaii brought in. So they're trialing that there. I'm very interested with what Qantas said this week, where the CEO of Qantas said, you will not get on one of our planes without a vaccination certificate, a bit like a yellow fever vaccination certificate you might have for countries in Africa, I have. And I think as airlines get more assertive in that way, Korean Air, Air New Zealand have mooted they might do the same thing. I think that also might shift things.
So then just how costly has COVID been for airlines so far, and what's 2021 looking like?
You know, I wish I could, in some ways, do I want a crystal ball for 2021? Because I think it's very hard. I think it's very sobering to realize, one IATA number said that 43% of airline jobs pre-pandemic are no longer there. And major airlines, Thai Airways, Virgin Australia, LATAM, Avianca, Norwegian, which specializes in low-cost long-haul, hugely important, all have gone through restructuring, bankruptcy, some kind of major financial problem. And I think they're all looking in the medium term and seeing numbers that are reassuring, but are nowhere near what they want. One of the global tourism statistics said, we expect to lose about 1 billion annual tourists per year for the next couple of years. And most of those people would have been on planes. And I think that's what they're looking at and working out how to function.
So then, to that point then, what are some other efforts to really boost flight sales and confidence? We've heard things about COVID passports and such. Just very quickly, break down some of the efforts you're seeing.
Very quickly, they're keeping the prices cheap. They know that, as your report showed, people do follow the price. They haven't gone up in Q3 and Q4 as they usually do. About 40% down year on year. And they're taking away the fees. The change fees that used to be something really onerous if you had a last-minute wiggle. Delta, United, American, they've all taken them away. So you can book with more confidence, knowing that if you change your mind, it's not going to cost you anything. And that, I think, is going to help people travel.
I certainly agree with you there. Thank you so much. Travel writer Mark Ellwood there.